we are going to be asking our guest, Ian Carroll, here, his most controversial opinion. This should be interesting because I know you have a lot of controversial opinions, especially when it comes to a lot of the research you do, a lot of the things you piece together. So I was kind of looking forward to this piece because this is a question that's a very kind of kind of on the spot question. I was asked this by a friend a couple of years ago, and I really had to do a little bit of thinking. So that's why we always tell guests, hey, this is what we're going to ask you. So Ian, what is your most controversial opinion?
So I've been thinking about it a lot because I think that a lot of my opinions are like classically controversial, but in today's day and age, everyone that's watching this show, everyone that subscribes to you would be like, oh, that's not controversial at all, bro. That like, and I don't think I'm really, because I feel like I'm relatively rational and most of my opinions are actually not controversial. But if I really were, this is one that I'm kind of developing right now and I don't have it fully formed in my mind yet, but I come from a teaching background. And I think that kids would be better, and this is a two-part opinion. I think kids would be better off spending zero time in school, in public school, and having no public school whatsoever, no school environment whatsoever, just like, a box where they're safe for the day, or even like a yard where they're safe for the day, the woods, than going to school. We should demolish public school in its current form. And I would argue that in combination of that, I am not a Christian. I was not raised Christian, but what I have noticed in since getting curious and starting to like research and learn and go to church and make friends that are Christians, I think that kids need church more than they need school today. And that if kids could only receive, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Christian church, but I know that the values of a quality Christian church are what I'm referring to, is that they don't need what they're getting in school, and they actually need to not get what they're getting in school. Yeah. And the one thing kids do need to protect themselves in this world today is the moral preparation that church gives. Yeah. Because when you hang out, so I was hanging out with this family that has 6 kids in Idaho last month, and I have never met another young person who has any sort of worldview framework for how do I protect myself from the sin that is inside of this device, other than kids that are raised in highly religious families, or at least like basically like quality religious families. Because the real risk to our culture right now is not informational, though that is a problem. It's like the real risk to our culture right now is the cultural degeneracy and subversion of our young people through the music industry, through the movies, the celebrities, the sexualization, the porn, the drugs, and you need a moral framework to protect kids from that. And we have purposely separated church and state and taken church out of school and sort of marginalized church and marginalized religion. And I don't think it has to be Christianity, but I think that we need our kids growing up with spiritual practices and religious beliefs. And that I think that if we replaced school with church within one generation, America would save itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are missing that moral framework about how to just respond to a lot of the things that, sadly are kind of pressured and teased and kind of lured into. And it really does take a very strong-willed person in order to respond to that. And then you look further into a lot of this, and you look at the kind of modern education system. It's a system that was created by the Rockefeller family that, in my opinion, has done more detrimental damage to the family unit than any other family on the face of this earth, not only with their support of the modern kind of feminization movement, but also with literally creating a factory cookie-cutter system, the education system, that makes people good, obedient factory workers.
Yeah, and it's just, we live in a world where everyone that has a ton of money benefits from a degenerate culture where people are easily manipulated, where they have a short attention span, where they're depressed and on drugs, and like that just benefits everyone. And so everyone is incentivized to perpetuate this structure, whether it's lobbying in Congress, whether it's just like the media that's getting put out. They all benefit from us being sick and depressed and sad and divided. Whereas what faith gives you is like quality family values. You have this construct of understanding of protecting yourself against the subversion of sin and of demons, and like it has this whole storyline narrative. Whether you believe it or not, it's a useful narrative to give to children in order to teach them that you are an actor within the storyline of your own corruption, and if you don't protect yourself, you will be corrupted by the pitfalls of our world. And I think that watching kids growing up through the school system in this day and age as a teacher, I just couldn't help but feel like, what we actually need to be teaching kids has nothing to do with the information, because kids are naturally curious. Kids naturally want to learn things as long as you don't kill their desire for learning by forcing them to sit in a box and learn.
And schools kill their desire to learn. And also...
And be creative and be free.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And also, like, they incentivize parents to put children on medicine to be able to... Like, it's not natural for a child
It's not medicine, too. It's drugs.
Right, drugs.
Yeah.
It's not natural for a young child to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day, doing work. Of course, they want to get up and play, and so that is demonized. But I'll give it to you one step further, and I think that it's not just that the school system itself is here to push them through this indoctrination channel. It's government itself needs to take over the position of your family.
Absolutely.
So if you are, sent to the center where you are told, like you get instruction that's against your parents, for example, or like you have to do homework. It's not time to spend when you get home to spend time with your family. It's time to spend on this stuff. Like it creates a wedge in your family. It is done on purpose. And I believe it is done so that you depend on the system. It teaches you to depend on the system. You have to send your kids to school or you're the weirdo. You have to do these things. And so when you look at like communist countries like in Cuba, where my family's from, that school system is used to then indoctrinate the children and tell them that their parents are wrong, that they actually belong to the state, that if their parents didn't give them a certain education, that their parents should be turned in. And you also see that now, with under COVID, it was like kids were like talking about their parents weren't doing certain things in the home. So
and with the transgenderism thing is like they're replacing the parent, and you can like get transgender care behind your parents' backs, and the schools will help you subvert
or
your
abortion
parents.
care, which is the other
And they'll
one.
arrest you if you speak out against it in Europe and in Canada,
100%.
which is so f***ed up.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, the government wants to be your daddy, and and
They
we're all
can go
kind
f themselves, and everyone should take their kids out of school and homeschool their children in small community homeschool groups and go to church.
Yeah.
and the money behind it is wild. We spend almost 20 grand, if not more, per child. And like that money, if it was given to the parents, you could have a 10 parent school, and that's like $200K. That's more than enough to pay teachers, or a teacher for 10 kids. And yet they're telling us that there's not enough money in school when they're paying per child 20 grand. It's just wild to me. The whole system is wild. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. So I don't think this was that controversial, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it is. It's controversial coming from my background, from teacher parents, that have worked their whole lives in the education system and not being raised Christian at all. Like, I had no foundation in that. But the more I get curious and start to learn and dive into like the Bible and just religion in general, it becomes so apparent that we all know the schools are destroying our children, and we all know that we need a higher moral framework, and we know that like they target our children specifically because children are vulnerable. And once a kid is in that age of like preteen and teenager years where they decide what's cool, and then you can't tell them what's not, because like you just make it worse if you try to tell them that's not cool. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I have 4 kids, and
if you raise them right.
Yeah, like we have these conversations all the time where we talk about these things. And so like I feel like that too, it's discouraged in regular society from talking to your children about just
or there's
everything.
just not enough time. Like if your parents are working all the time and they're not really home, because that's like that happens a lot. And most of the time it ends up being your children are learning from the peers, and their peers are also being influenced. Therefore, we personally, we learn through our mistakes and through listening to your friends and making those mistakes and then getting stronger from it. And sometimes the parents aren't really there to support you. If you're lucky, they are.
And instead, your screen is there to support you and raise you. Okay, so I'll quickly, that's not that controversial, I guess. A more controversial take, which we all agree with, is McDonald's should start frying everything in beef tallow tomorrow. And if they did, it would be the greatest business move of the last 100 years, and I would openly support them. McDonald's, fry your shit in beef tallow.
Honestly,
and
if
non-GMO.
it was right, if it was like clean food and it was like this cost or
like
even more
Europe?
expensive, I would totally, like, my kids are like, Mom, I want McDonald's. I'm like, heck no, I'm not spending $50 to feed you.
But have you guys gone to a McDonald's in Europe or something? Because it tastes
delicious.
So much
They're
No, I
so
haven't.
much better.
I've been-
Yeah, when I go to
it's a lot
foreign
better.
countries, I'm so ashamed of myself, but I like to go to their McDonald's. It's pretty gross.
Alrighty, well,
I
Tell us
won't
how
do
you
it
really
in
feel.
America. I wouldn't do it in America, but I mean, even if you started frying it in beef tallow, they have a lot of chemicals in the potatoes themselves.
That's true. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
actually.
true.
It's like
It's
17
pesticides.
ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pesticides.
Make
and all
America
sorts of
healthy
shit,
again,
fillers.
goddammit. Make
Yeah.
America not fat again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you look at the modern state of children in this country, they're I mean, especially, young women that are literally just being propelled to OnlyFans because of the psyops and propaganda behind it. There's a video now showing the reaction of a woman that just slept with 100 guys in one outing. Up. And you see her face and you see her eyes. You see her soulless. That's the future that they're trying to sell to modern women, while males who are told to sacrifice and work harder be like, why? When there's no opportunities for me, they're turning to video games and
they're working as hard as they can to make the sex robots here ASAP so that they can just replace, the whole relationship system can just get destroyed.
Yeah. My controversial opinion is that, the eugenics movement is not going to depopulate us through poisoning and killing us through and other poisons. My controversial opinion is that they're going to kill us through the Soma kind of Brave New World facility of too much sex with robots, and then people no longer procreate with each other because the robots are just that much better at it.
That's why only Latinos are going to be here forever, ever. 4 kids right here.
The Latinos are going to have all the robots in the the right?
We're going to control
Latinos. Come on,
subservience. That's the new.
Let's be honest. The Latinos don't have the best impulse control, right? So when you present them with all the robots, they can. All day long, the Latinos are going to be the first extinct population out there.
I'm sorry, but we've got a boatload of kids.
I think I'm on Martha's team here. Having lived in Guatemala, Latinos don't. They do. Well, you know what I'm saying?
they around, and then the robots are going to come.
Although they got a lot of Catholicism and faith, they around, but they also have really strong family
But we
values.
also don't necessarily, we're not the first people in line for an abortion, we have family, and we put family above all else. My controversial opinion is live with your parents. You know what? Live with your parents when they're older. Bring them into your own home. Create a community in your. I'm able to do all of these things because my mom lives at my house.
Yeah, multi-generational families.
Yeah, absolutely. Helps me with my kids.
Important.
Don't kick your kids out at 18. Let them live at home until they fly the coop, and let your parents live with you. Create a community. This is just so wild. I love that about my culture. I love that about multiple cultures, Asian cultures, Indian culture. They all have this. It's Americans. You guys are lacking this basic principle.
Absolutely. Ian, this was great. Anything else you would like to say?
Oh, no, just thanks, man. It's super cool to be here and meet you all again, and meet you for the first time and see your space and meet your dog. It's super welcome. I really appreciate it. Great conversation.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the program. Check out @Ian Carroll Show on Twitter, and it looks like everything you were saying is right, as Brett Cooper literally just released a video saying, it's true,
like
I'm leaving
Ben
the Daily
Shapiro.
Wire. So she
everyone says that.
She literally just released this video right now.
Dude, I'm about to go make a TikTok video right now.
Ian, this was great. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone else for being here as well. Stay tuned for more here. So yeah, that's happening. As of course, I've been telling people to prepare for a very long time. I just released a video about how to prepare on lukeunfiltered.com, a special secret, not so secret society where you get to join a lot of really cool, awesome people and be a part of the larger conversations that no one else really has. I go deep down the rabbit hole. I talk about my personal decisions. I talk about things that I do in my life that I am using information on in order to, of course, better it. And that's the information that I try to share with you in order to help promote, build, grow, and expand our human consciousness, wealth, prosperity, and liberty. Freedom is in your hands if you decide to act on it in the proper way. And I've built lukeunfiltered.com, 12 plus years of behind the scenes videos just on that basic model alone of trying to give you the tools, the information, the seed oil cards, the crap list of items you should be avoiding at the supermarket. That's all available for members of lukeunfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Signing up is key, it's crucial, and it's more important than ever. Sign up right now, lukeunfiltered.com. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. You go here, and whatever your budget allows, I know times are hard, but for just $8, 20 cents a day, you could sign up right here, click it, and then you just put in a little bit of information. You get emailed back a login, you log in, and you get a lot of really awesome values that are a lot more valuable than Netflix. You have a choice. You want to do Netflix or you want to do lukeunfiltered.com. Make that choice. Vote with your dollars, vote with your clicks. Start to decide your own life path right now. 3 master classes that will teach you some really incredible skills. Do you want to sit there and be glazed by the satanic, evil, corporatist, demonic propaganda that plays on your subconscious and emotional, psychological weaknesses? Or
Do you want to be uplifted and, of course, enlightened and given information that a lot of powerful people don't want you to have? That decision is yours, and it starts with you signing up to lookunfiltered.com. Sign up there right now, and I will see you there right after this broadcast. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you signing up to lookunfiltered.com. And because you do, this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.